A very good evening to all of you, and you're tuned in to Channel I Sri Lanka Rupavahini. And today we are at an exclusive interview with the Ambassador of the Republic of Turkey, His Excellency Tunca Özçuhadar. A very good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
And certainly it's a great honor to have you at Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. And first and foremost, sir, you were here in Sri Lanka for more than 4 years in your diplomatic service, and now you're about to bid farewell to Sri Lanka, to the people of Sri Lanka. And first and foremost, let me ask you a very casual question. On what memories do you recall from the day you were appointed up to today in your work in Sri Lanka, in your work at the embassy of Turkey?
Well, Sri Lanka is a unique country. It has several facets and layers, and it has a diversity of cultures and the beauty of the environment, the wildlife, and also the complex political structure. Those things may be unique, but what makes this country unique is the friendly people of this country. This will always remain as the best memory for me from Sri Lanka.
And also, sir, now being a diplomat has its own challenges, and representing an entire country at a different country carries certain weight, and it also has certain responsibilities. And now, during your stay in Sri Lanka for more than 4 years, how do you see, or how do you view the Turkey-Sri Lanka relations during those more than 4 years?
During my tenure here, with my embassy, we worked very close with our Sri Lankan counterparts. And we worked in various fields like economy, trade, culture, political, humanitarian assistance. If you would allow me, I shall give some few figures, some few statistics. For example, from 2015 till 2018, the trade volume between the two countries increased up to 60%. We are now, but actually there is still room for growth. And we had several people-to-people connections, relations in the cultural field. We did dozens of activities. And as far as our political relations are concerned, we have excellent political relations with Sri Lanka. But this excellent political relations has to be completed with the excellent economic relations, and we are working on those.
And also now, recently, just a month ago, Sri Lanka elected its next president for the next 5 years, and there has been a change in the administration of Sri Lanka. So how does the government of Turkey hope to work with the new administration of Sri Lanka, with the new president, the new prime minister, and the new government which will be in place for the next few years?
Well, Sri Lanka is a well-established democracy, and I'm glad this presidential elections went in an orderly and peaceful manner. As it is in every democracy, presidents and governments are coming and going by free elections. And state-to-state relations are conducted by the elected representatives of the countries. We will work with the newly elected president and with the new administration, as we have done with the previous government too, because in state-to-state relations, we are respecting the decision of the people.
And also, sir, now let me ask a question which relates to your home country, and that is the issue of terrorism. Now, Sri Lanka experienced one of the worst terrorist attacks it has seen in many years this year, when many churches and hotels in Colombo were bombed at the Easter Sunday attacks. Now, terrorism is a global issue, and it has been affecting so many countries throughout the world, including Sri Lanka and including Turkey.
Yeah.
Now, what is your comment about the rise of terrorism globally, and with particular emphasis on its challenges to Turkey?
Well, as you have said, terrorism is today is an international phenomena, and it kills in almost in every country, as well as in Western countries or in the Eastern countries, indiscriminately innocent people. And to this international problem, the answer should be also internationally. The solidarity between the countries, the common work fight against terrorism is in this sense very important. And as you have mentioned, Sri Lanka suffered decades from separatist terrorism in this country. Turkey is still struggling with various terror organizations in and out of Turkey. In that sense, we have a common problem with Sri Lanka. And to find a solution to this common problem, we have to work together. And we are doing this also.
And also, so that brings me to my next question now. Turkey is viewed as a country which, to a certain extent, has managed to combat terrorism in a successful manner. There are certain, a lot of academic publications about how the government of Turkey has been successfully able to repel terrorism or to control terrorism and to protect its people within its borders. Now, Sri Lanka undoubtedly has been caught up in this global terrorist issue. And we might face many challenges in the future. We might face many issues in the future when it comes to terrorism. So how can the government of Turkey assist the government of Sri Lanka when it comes to issues of terrorism, issues of terrorist-related violence?
Well, in terms of fighting terrorism, sharing intelligence, sharing experience, sharing technology and know-how is very vital. And countries who are having more experience or better know-how should assist the ones who doesn't have this type of experience or know-how. In that sense, we are working closely with intelligence sharing and in other aspects also with the Sri Lankan government. And we are looking also forward to work more closer with the Sri Lankan authorities in fight against terrorism. We reach certain levels, but there's still some room to improve. As I mentioned, this international problem needs international solidarity to combat with.
Definitely, sir. And also, now Turkey is viewed by the global community as the largest donor in humanitarian assistance. So Turkey has been given this spotlight in the global community when it comes to humanitarian assistance. So, and Sri Lanka has been working with Turkey on many issues in the country itself, and Turkey has been assisting Sri Lanka for the past decades. So, what do you think, in your own opinion, how would Turkey assist Sri Lanka in humanitarian aid in the future and in the current situation?
Well, since 2006, since tsunami hit Sri Lanka, Turkey undertook dozens of projects in Sri Lanka, from Ampara to Trincomalee, from Mannar to Colombo, from Jaffna to Matara, in various areas of Sri Lanka. Turkey took dozens of projects in framework of humanitarian assistance. But let me say also something. Sri Lanka became, since July 2019, a upper middle income country. That means you are doing well, and that means the type of the assistance this country needs is not necessarily the classical type of humanitarian assistance. In my opinion, if countries like Turkey or others can work in capacity building projects, which will be much more efficient and useful for Sri Lanka. And we did also some capacity building projects with Sri Lanka, like organizing courses in Turkey or in Sri Lanka, or transferring technology or so. I think the concept of humanitarian assistance, which will be implemented in Sri Lanka, has to be shifted from this traditional classical humanitarian assistance understanding into more and more to the technology transfer and capacity building issues.
And also, sir, on similar lines, we would like to mention that Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation journalists also had the opportunity to
Yeah.
visit Turkey, and Turkey has been a hotspot for Sri Lankan people on various fields for training, for seminars, for conferences, and so on and so forth. So we are certainly thankful for the government of Turkey for the opportunity given to our journalists as well as for Sri Lankans. So in that way, do you think that the government of Turkey can extend further assistance for the people, especially the professionals of Sri Lanka, in their capacity building?
Definitely, we will do. We will continue our projects and programs in that. We believe free media, free journalism is very important for a democracy. Journalists are the ears, eyes, and the mouth of the people, and if they can be well trained and well equipped, then the all the whole country will benefit. And that's in that sense, the training for journalism is a very crucial thing. And within our capacity, whatever we can do, we will continue, of course, support the Sri Lankan journalists too.
Thank you very much, sir. And now, when we talk about Turkey-Sri Lanka relations, now the relations between the two countries expand for centuries because there has been a very cordial, friendly relationship between the two countries, and it can be categorized into many sectors such as economic, tourism, trade, political, so on and so forth. So in your analysis, or from what you have experienced in Sri Lanka, how do you view the future of, in the sense, in what way can Turkey-Sri Lanka relations be expanded? In what sectors can we expand these relations between Turkey and Sri Lanka?
Well, as you said, the relations between Turkey and Sri Lanka is deep-rooted. Then the Ottoman Empire assigned his first honorary consul then to Ceylon in 1865 to Gaul. Gaul was the trading hub at that time for Ceylon, and we need to have a kind of consul who was, his duty was taking care for the tradesmen and others. And after we established our resident embassies in respective countries in 2012 and in 2013, the trade relations between the two countries gradually improved. As I have mentioned, in the last 3.5, 4 years, our trade volume increased up to 60%. And in Joint Economic Council meeting back in Turkey 2 years back, our delegations, our authorities put a target that we should reach in 2020 the $500 million bench as a trade volume. And we are trying to reach that bench. But for that thing, I think the items which are subject to our trade relations should be diversified. And we need also develop projects where businessmen from both countries should get together, meet, and make business. I mean, as governments, our duty is to create the framework, the judicial structure, and the fundamental issues. The rest, on top of the building the relations on top of those things, are the issues of the private sector. As governments, as official authorities, we are in a good way of creating these opportunities. Of course, in that sense, the private sector has to show also more interest in each countries for doing business.
And also, along with that lines now, Sri Lanka, Turkey also share an interest in tourism. And Sri Lanka suffered a major setback in tourism when it comes to the aftermath of the Easter Sunday attacks which happened this year. And in that backdrop, our tourism sector immediately collapsed to a level where it was almost impossible for us to see that it will be revived ever again. But in that line, is there any way the government of Turkey can assist Sri Lanka to rebuild our tourism sector or to revive the tourism sector which was there before the Easter Sunday attacks?
Tourism could be one of the major income source for Sri Lanka. A country like Sri Lanka with beautiful beaches and sand, beautiful wildlife, diverse culture, interesting food, has all the potentials what a tourist attracts. But tourism doesn't develop like this. It's an industry. It has so many aspects that you have to take care to become a successful tourism country. Let me give an example from Turkey's experience. When Turkey started mid-80s to make tourism one of his major industries, a very decisive and well-thought program and policy has been implemented. That started from the training of the waiters up to the how to connect with or training of the tourist guides, investing into the infrastructure, or dealing with the travel agents. I mean, it has different and hundreds of different aspects of this industry. And it's a very fragile industry too. It's a very lucrative industry, but it's also a very fragile industry. It has very much to do with the safety and security and the stability of the country. Political stability and security are very crucial on those things. I know the number of the tourist arrivals in Sri Lanka are not there where it should be. But to make that thing, to have tourists here, the infrastructure is also not necessarily enough. I mean, the capacity of the airport, the roads, the hotels, all those things has to be considered in a whole, in a holistic manner, in a whole project and program. Yes, Sri Lanka witnessed a very brutal terror attacks and a very unfortunate incidents happened here. But these type of things happens everywhere in the world. I mean, I don't need to name several big global powers or global countries have witnessed also these type of attacks. But they recovered very quickly and the tourists came back. It has a lot to do with the PR, with the promotion of the country, giving the guarantees that the country is safe and secure, and promoting it. Promotion is, in that sense, the number one solution. And I'm sure in the future, Sri Lanka will also became a major tourist destination like the other countries in his neighborhood. I mean, if you look to the other neighboring countries or close countries in the region, they are making huge profits from tourism. Why should Sri Lanka not do it? It has all the qualities and all the opportunities here too. It's just a matter of management.
And also, sir, now let me move away from your official duties as the honorable or the honorable ambassador of Republic of Turkey to Sri Lanka and move on to something very something in your personal capacity.
Okay.
Now, you have been a career diplomat for a few decades, if I'm
25 years.
25 years. So, so after Sri Lanka, now you would be returning back to your home country.
Yeah.
What would be your future? What plans do you have ahead in your for the next few years?
Well, in our system, the career diplomats are sent from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I've been working for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Turkey for the last 25 years, as you said. I came here from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. assigned as an ambassador. And now, once I am finished here, I will go back and join my ministry, and I will assume a duty there. What exactly this duty might be, I will figure out once I am there.
And we sincerely hope that you would visit Sri Lanka in your future years as well.
I will do this definitely, because within this 4 years and 4 months, I cherish big friendship and with my several Sri Lankan friends, and I became a really almost a honorary citizen of Sri Lanka. I consider myself so, because I went through a lot of things and closely observing and taking part of the issues in this country, and Sri Lanka became like a second home to me, and that's why I will definitely continue my contacts to Sri Lanka and try to come as often as I can back to Sri Lanka on a personal capacity.
And also, sir, now before we conclude today's interview, there are many Sri Lankans who aspire to visit Turkey, because Turkey itself is one of the leading tourist destinations in the world. It's a capital of culture and arts and architecture. So there are a lot of Sri Lankans aspiring to visit Turkey in the capacity as a tourist. And also there are certain Sri Lankans who wish to engage in business relations with Turkey. So what is your message to our viewers today who are watching this program on maybe visiting Turkey, or building a political relationship with Turkey, or to build an economic relationship with Turkey in the future?
Well, Sri Lankans are very much welcome to Turkey, to visit Turkey. And actually the number of the Sri Lankans visiting Turkey are increasing. The direct flights of the Turkish Airlines, which flies daily from Colombo to Istanbul, helps on that a lot too. We would love to see more Sri Lankans in Turkey as a tourist, or as a businessman, or as a just visitor. They are most welcome. As you said, Turkey has a lot of offer in terms of culture and business and holiday, and it is the west end of Asia and east end of Europe, and that's why that makes Turkey unique. You can see Asian and European aspects in one country. That's in that terms, Turkey is a unique country. And if you would ask me what is my final message to Sri Lanka or Sri Lankans, well, Sri Lanka has a significant geostrategic location. It is also blessed with natural beauty and great people. The geostrategic importance of this country will remain, and even became more vital, because considering the eventual developments in the region. This is one aspect. The geostrategic importance of Sri Lanka will remain and will become more relevant. The second observation what I had in Sri Lanka is the national unity, the territorial integrity, the peace and prosperity of this country is very much related to the coexistence and harmony of the communities in Sri Lanka. If the coexistence and the harmony within the communities can be secured, the prosperity, the welfare, the unity, the territorial integrity of the country will be safeguarded. And thirdly, the message or my wish for Sri Lanka is the conserving the natural beauty and the purity of this country is in the hands of the people of this country. What I can say is the raising awareness about towards the environmental issues, and educating youngsters with environmental concerns will safeguard the future of this country. I made these 3 points as the vital issues of Sri Lanka. The geostrategic importance, the national unity, and the conserving the natural beauty of this country. If this can be provided, Sri Lanka has a very bright future.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And now, on behalf of Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, its administration and staff, we would like to thank His Excellency, the Ambassador of Turkey to Sri Lanka. And we hope that your stay in Sri Lanka for the past 4.5 years was memorable and eventful, certainly, and it will carry a lot of memories for your future. And we wish you all the very best for your future endeavors.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we conclude today's interview, and we wish you all a pleasant night.